Winston Churchill was one of the greatest world statesmen who guided Britain through the Second World War. He was an inspirational leader who people still talk about today.
So what is just so great about him? Let's find out.
Little baby Winston was born on the 30th of November 1874, here at Blenheim Palace, outside Oxford. Blenheim was the home of his grandfather, the 7th Duke of Marlborough, one of the knobbiest aristocratic families in the land.
Just like other boys from smart backgrounds at this time, his mum and dad sent him away to prep school when he was just 7. And our Winston was quite a handful, often getting into trouble. One report from his first school said,
"He is a constant trouble to everybody and is always in some scrape or other."
At 13, he only just managed to squeeze through the entrance exam to the famous boys' school, Harrow, on the outskirts of London. At Harrow, the cleverest boys in the class were made to study Latin and Greek. But oh dear, Winston was put into the bottom class, where they studied English instead. But you know what? There's always a silver lining. Unlike Greek and Latin, English is a living language, and if you get good at it, you can express your thoughts and ideas very well and very clearly. That's important if you want to write brilliant speeches. Another thing Winston was good at was learning off by heart and reciting out loud. While he was still a young boy, he memorised 1,200 lines of a poem and won the Poetry Prize. That's another handy talent when you're standing up and talking in public. After school, Winston decided to become a soldier. He had to try 3 times to pass the test for the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, and he had to join the cavalry. That's for soldiers on horseback, which was easier to get into than the infantry. That's for soldiers on foot. After 4 years in the army, Winston decided he wanted to go into politics like his father had done. He stood for election and became a member of Parliament at just 26. His personal life was pretty busy too. Soon after becoming an MP, he met Clementine at a party in London. A few years after, he married her, and together they had 5 children. One daughter, poor little Marigold, died when she was only 3. The Churchill family bought a big house outside London called Chartwell, which you can still visit today. Britain went to war with Germany in 1939. The war suddenly turned life upside down for the country. Within a year, British cities were being bombed as the German Air Force started their Blitz campaign. Britain needed a top-of-the-range dude to help the country and the people through its toughest challenge. Who was that? In 1940, King George VI asked Winston Churchill to be Prime Minister, just a few months after the war started. Tough challenge. But Winston was just the man for the job. Now Britain had a first-class leader to guide the way ahead. Today, we all have smartphones and Snapchat and WhatsApp, so it's tough for young peeps to imagine how life was back then. Ask an 80-year-old. The radio was the best way for people to hear the day's news and find out what was going on. Night after night, families would gather around the radio. Actually, they called it the wireless. Homes didn't even have television back then, and listen to reports of the war. It was a frightening, uncertain time, and Winston Churchill's speeches, full of determination and heartening words, helped people stay positive, even in the worst moments. Here are some of his rousing words.
You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word: victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory however long and hard the road may be.
Want to know some other stuff about Winston Churchill? He loved to use the V for victory sign. He won a Nobel Prize for his writing. He smoked a lot of cigars. Some say 8 to 10 a day. He was a great artist. After taking up a paintbrush at 40, he painted more than 500 pictures. He used to get seriously bummed out. Kind of understandable in his position, I guess. He called his low moods my black dog. Winston died in 1965 at the ripe old age of 90. He was given the largest state funeral ever seen, with a 19-gun salute and a flypast by the Royal Air Force. It was watched on TV by 350 million people around the world, and Churchill was buried near Blenheim Palace. Still today, Winston Churchill remains one of the most admired and inspirational leaders in recent history. Now you know a bit about him.